All right. The Stone Cold Steve Austin Broken Skulls sessions with Chris Jericho. Did it live up to the hype? Was it everything that you thought it would be? Well, let's talk about it. I'm going to break from my normal routine here in that I would play a clip from the show. I'm not able to play a clip from this particular show because the Peacock Network has things in place to block me from capturing content the way I would want to. And sure, I could, hold the phone up to the fucking TV or something stupid like that. But I'm not going to do that for audio purposes. It's not going to be where I want it to be. So let's just talk about it. Clip doesn't matter, right? Because there's a whole lot going on in this podcast anyway. So let's just start from the beginning. I'm just going to kind of go through it here. So Chris Jericho, they opened up essentially getting right into the AEW and kind of answered all my questions right off the bat. Because my biggest concerns was, how much are we going to talk about AEW? How are we going to be talking about AEW if we do talk about them? I wanted to see how it was all addressed, and that was the first thing Steve wanted to kind of open with. They got right into AE. So you're with AEW now. Let's talk about that. How'd you end up there? How'd you end up leaving W? All those questions were answered. And to my surprise, it wasn't just paying it a little bit of lip service and then moving on. I mean, they did eventually, and I had said that from the beginning, that this is going to be, just from knowing Steve's podcasts or the Broken Skull Sessions, they're like career retrospectives. So we knew that they weren't going to spend the entire time on AEW, but I do feel that they paid it a very fair amount of time. I appreciate that they did it right off the bat. And I appreciate that, Chris talked all about it. He mentioned Tony Khan. He mentioned Orange Cassidy. He's talked about some of the better things that he's been able to do over there as far as being able to guide new talent and sort of be a locker room leader figure in that regard. I mean, I don't feel that they tiptoed around anything. I don't feel that they avoided any specific details. I don't feel like Jericho underplayed what AEW means to him now or anything like that. He put him over like $1 million. He was there basically as Team AEW, and he got in his plugs. He got in a Wednesday night. He got in a Dynamite. He got in a Tony Khan. He got in an Orange Cassidy. He talks a lot in detail about the whole process and, everything that we already know because we've heard the story a million times, but maybe the WWE audience doesn't know. So that was fun. It was good that Chris got into that. It was good that he was able to kind of explain everything in the way that where he wasn't limited or being held back or being restrained in any kind of way, shape, or form. They did talk about why Chris decided to leave WWE. He was very clear about how he didn't like his spot with Kevin Owens at WrestleMania in the second match where they were originally penciled in to be the main event, and then along came Brock Lesnar, right? Chris was really open. He had a lot to say about it. He wasn't shy about anything that led him to leave WWE or any kind of beefs that he has with the industry or anything like that. It was exactly what you would expect if this was not on the WWE network. If they had this conversation just on Steve's podcast or on Chris's podcast, you would have gotten the same exact conversation, and that's what was really cool. But it had the added benefit of being on the network. It had the added benefit of having, the pictures and the video clips that always go along with it. And then, Steve walked Jericho all the way through his career. They also talked about his time in New Japan. So they didn't just address AEW. They also talked about his time in New Japan, went into his Painmaker gimmick. They showed a picture of him holding the fucking AEW title. It was a unique, it was strangely both at the same time unique because it was an AEW guy on the WWE network and talking about AEW and all of that. Just to hear Orange Cassidy's name mentioned or Tony Khan's name mentioned on a WWE network it was crazy. It was weird. But in Okada and Naito and all of that. But at the same time, it felt normal because Jericho's been in the WWE for his whole career, basically, a good chunk of it. He spent a lot of his life there. So it felt like a homecoming at the same time. It was just a nice conversation. A lot of this stuff we already know as podcast listeners, as people that consume as much wrestling content as possible. We've all heard these stories before, or most of them anyway. But it was the forum, having it on the WWE Network, that made all the difference and really made this what it was. And there's not a lot of news. Like, I don't, without just sitting here and recapping the entire conversation, which is not what I typically do, I'll just kind of grab a highlight that really stood out as a talking point and go from there. I think the talking point in this podcast is that they went there with AEW and they went through it without having to kind of half-ass it or tiptoe around anything. So I really appreciated that. And the whole interview just really was a great capsule of Chris Jericho's career. Stone Cold did an incredible job. He's, like I said, a fantastic interviewer. Underrated, I think. Steve really knows how to get into the dirt of things. Get to the meat and potatoes of things, and Chris doesn't hold back. He doesn't sugarcoat shit. He doesn't feel the need to. So who knows what was edited or left on the chopping room floor, or what was seen and said, no, we absolutely can't put that on the air. But by the sounds of it, it doesn't seem like anything was really off limits. It was impressive. So that's all I really got to say about it. Like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole play-by-play. I just kind of wanted to give my thoughts on it. Because by the time we get to because it is so newsworthy, and by the time we get to next week's show on Sunday, it's going to be old news. So I wanted to get it up and get my 2 cents out there. But Chris Jericho appearing on the WWE Network, talking about AEW, getting into detail about why he joined AEW, what it's like working for AEW, his role there, all of that shit. Talks about Tony Khan, talks about Orange Cassidy. All that shit just makes me smile, makes the wrestling fan in me smile. So go check it out if you haven't yet. It's on the Peacock Network. I'm sure you could pirate it somewhere too if you so choose, but that's up to you. Go check it out. Peace out, y'all. Have a great day. Hey, thanks for checking out that clip. Don't forget to check out other clips here on the channel. And while you're there, throw a like, throw a subscribe. Don't forget to check out full episodes each and every Sunday of the Pro Wrestling Podcast.